us.com.pa. Let's get to our friend Garry Cobb, because I'll tell you something right now. I mean, that's the best win that they've had all year, is it not, Garry Cobb, against a Steeler team like that? That, I mean, well coached, holding that team. They had the ball for almost 40 minutes, Garry, versus 20 minutes of a football game, which is insane. Just some of your takeaways.
Well, I think that you make that point. That's an excellent point, that really they did a great job. You got to give coaching a lot of credit, the way that they were able to manage the game, and they were able to, they came out and, Jordan Mailata talked about how they were going to start the game throwing the ball. And everybody knew that. They came out and they were on the money with the passing game, which really gives this team a shot in the arm. And when teams are going to look at the Eagles, they see that running game with Saquon, they see that passing game. This really puts a defense really in a tough situation, because they got to make a choice what they're going to take away, because there's no defense that takes away everything. So the offense really did a great job of coming out and showing that they're versatile, that they can win throwing the football. So you got to give them a lot of credit there. There were a lot of guys, Saquon kind of got banged up. You see the young fella stepped in there, Kenneth. He stepped in there. He played very well, which was needed at the time. And see, this is the way you win in the NFL. People get their shot. Guys got to step up, and he stepped up and he played very well and made some big plays, broke some tackles at some key situations, and he was playing good football. Of course, AJ, you're not surprised, the guy's a big time player. He stepped up and he really got things going well. Devontae doing his job and everything. So everybody was, they got on them, able to take a lead, and the defense played well. A lot of guys stepping up, and then I got to give them credit. I really like the way they dealt with Jalen, because Jalen Carter got out of line. Come on, you can't be trying to hit a guy and get a guy back, and we're off the field, and basically the game was basically over. They don't get a first down there, but you're going to give them another shot because you're mad at a guy. And a lot of times when you hit a guy in his helmet, do you hurt the guy? You don't hurt the guy.
You hurt your own hand.
That's right. Come on. That looked great and everything. Come on. You're hitting that guy on his face mask. You're not really hurting the guy, And so for them to, dress him down, man, because hey, you're on this team, and Jalen Carter, you got to learn from that. He's got to learn, man. Look, I'm not going to hurt this team because I'm trying to get somebody back. Can't do that, because then you're the sucker, because you didn't hurt the guy, but you end up giving the ball back to the other team. That almost happened. Fortunately, it didn't work out that way, and the Eagles wound up getting the ball, and the offense took over. But cannot make that kind of mistake, man, because that kind of mistake could send you home at the wrong time, and you don't want to go home. This team has got a chance to really be a special team. I got to admit, they're going further than I thought. because I was looking at this team earlier in the year. There's no way I would expect them to be where they're at right now, with the way the way the defense has come on.
For real.
There's no way. I got to give the coaches credit, and I see them out there, working with these guys and going through the detail, and they have done an excellent job. There are guys on this staff that are going to get jobs and they're going to get promoted, because they have done an excellent job, in talking to the different players. You see how they have been coached. They're smart, and you got young players playing like they've been in the league, 10 years, and you got to give the coaches credit for that. But right now, hey, the sky is the limit for this football team. They got to keep getting better, because, they didn't play the perfect game, but you can see that they played well, and they got the potential to play even better. And so this is a great place to be in. I know a lot of people, I was just went to a couple schools this morning talking to kids. The teachers are all excited. Everybody's Eagles, 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 because you can't help but be excited about the way this football team is playing, the way they have stepped up, the way they have gotten better. And I got to give Jalen credit. Hey, look, getting out, just talking doesn't mean anything. If you're a football player, now we talk, okay?
Yeah.
We're commentators. We talk, okay? That's what, as a player, you do your talking with your play. You know, if you're yapping and your play is not equal to your yapping, then nobody wants to hear it, man. Nobody wants to hear it because they're not paying you to talk. They're paying you to go out and perform. And this team has stepped up in so many different ways. And I'll give Nick credit too. Look how Nick is, the job he's doing. You know, I got to give the whole group, starting with Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman and all that. I mean, they've done an outstanding job. Of course, the job is not done, though.
Absolutely. Garry, let me bring a point up to you on what Brady brought up.
Yeah.
And to me, I thought it was one of the greatest moments like I've heard a quarterback, especially that quarterback that has won 7 Super Bowls. You know, you brought up, you know, he started holding on to the ball a little too long and he took a couple sacks and all of a sudden you saw the Steelers starting to get a little bit momentum. And you heard Brady say, you know, he needs to get that ball out of his hand because there's open wide receivers and he just needs to let it rip. Well, Kellen Moore, about 3 plays later, they went up tempo. And once they went up tempo, Garry, it looked to me that Jalen got back in the rhythm.
Yes.
That team, it looks like, and Brady said this, and he was asked the question, why do you want to go up tempo? Because it makes the defensive players get in their alignments quicker. You know where your landmark is, and you know in pre-snap where you're going with the ball.
That's right.
And right there, I think maybe Jalen and Kellen Moore had an epiphany that when you go up tempo, that passing game looks completely different than when you go 7-step. It just seemed that they kind of figured it out in game once they went up tempo. Is that fair?
Well, I think you're definitely right, and I think what you're correct from the standpoint that really the Steelers, it really took them out of, because a lot of times, you know, as and I always tell defensive players, hey, look, don't just stand there, man. Especially, you know, if you're lined up and you're standing up, move around, man. That quarterback is not sure where you're supposed to be. Why are you going to just show him what you're in? So this took them out of that, to where they just, hey, hurry up, because what, you know, and this does happen. When that team's going, hurry up, you can't get caught out of place. You can't, well, you got to run 10 yards to be where you're supposed to be. You can't really just show all these different looks, you know, unless they're really practiced by the team as a group, because you can't get caught out of position. So in a way, that was a great move for them to go hurry up, because what it did is it stopped the Steelers from giving these different looks. You know, it made them go
in substitutions. They couldn't bring the substitutions in.
That's true.
That Mike Tomlin loves to do.
Yeah,
and how he does defense. Let me throw this at
now. See that now they got to remember that down the road, to use that in the right time, man. It's worth gold.
How about this one here? And Garry, someone asked me, they go, Sills, do you think that Jalen, the way he played, I'm like, well, you know what? I mean, I don't think 60 minutes fixes a passing game. But I think what it does show you, Garry, that it shows you what the abilities that they potentially have with the passing game. Is that how you took that away too? Because 60 minutes of football doesn't eradicate what you have not done all year long. Now, the defense gets the equity, right? Because they've done it pretty much since the bye.
That's
true. But the offense, I don't think gets that equity yet until they show us.
The passing game. Because they have run the ball. Now, they showed that offensive line and Saquon have shown, look, we can play bully ball. They've shown that. But you're talking about the whole thing with passing. Now, and this is something that we can share with everybody. Listen, look, from having played, there's a certain confidence you got to play with. Nobody can buy that for you when you're walking on the field, and you could get to be a veteran player and lose your confidence. You got to have a certain confidence that you're sure you can do your job. Now, I don't know if Jalen's had that all year. Clearly it's got away from him. But there are certain things the offensive coordinator can do, just like you just said. They went to hurry up. He starts getting a confidence. And once he starts, you know, seeing and reading what they're doing, he gains a certain confidence to where you're more confident about doing other things. and throwing the ball. You see it, you believe you can see it, you let it go. Because really the thing with Jalen is early in the year, he threw a few picks and it really hurt the team. So he's being too conservative with holding the ball. Even if he sees something, he's going to make sure you don't have enough time to do that and get rid of the ball. So if once he develops the confidence where he believes what he sees, it's just like I know as a linebacker, and I can see the Eagles linebackers, the things that they have done is they've done a great job of coaching them to the point where they believe what they see. So they attack it. If you wait a split second, you're not going to make the big play, but you got to believe, I believe what I'm seeing. In fact, before the snap, they start showing you something. You see the stances, you see the way the offensive line guys are lined up. You can look at the formation. You got to feel for a certain thing, you attack it. But you got to have that self-confidence. And really, this is the thing. Like I was out talking to some kids today and telling them, you work hard, but you got to walk up there confidently. You could be a trial lawyer. You got to have the confidence that you know what you're doing. You walk in there, everybody can feel that you know what you're doing, but you got to have that confidence. And the quarterback has got to have that confidence. So he lets that ball go that split second early so he doesn't wait. And all of a sudden now he's running for his life, as we've seen with Jalen. And this is something that could end up where having a good game against a good team, all of a sudden you start developing that confidence because you only have but a split second. If you hold the ball after you really can see what they're in and you're ready to let the ball go, but you're going to hold it because you want to be sure that you're sure because you don't want to throw an interception. Then a lot of times you're not going to let that ball go, and a guy was open, and hopefully he starts gaining more and more confidence so he lets that ball go because in the year they went to the Super Bowl, he was letting that ball go.
You know what? Two last ones here for you. Vic Fangio, man, I mean, Gary, it's not just so much that the scheme that he has him in, but it's the player development. Yes. I mean, Nolan Smith, yes. You and me questioned the rocks in his pocket if he was big enough. I mean,
yes,
he's playing better. Dude, this Zach Bond kid playing in space, covers wideouts,
yes,
tight ends, backs. Right. Dean's filling the gap.
That's right.
How about Josh Sweat now also is having a really under the radar year where he's probably going to get 11 sacks. I mean, yeah. The front seven. Are you ready to say this? The Eagles have the best defense in pro football.
Well, they have played on that level. I mean, of course they got to keep it up, but I got to give them credit. They have been for most of the season the best defense in the game. Now, like I said, would I have said that earlier in the year?
No way.
No way I would have said that. But see, the coaching, building a confidence in a guy to where this guy develops a confidence where he's sure of what he sees. And I couldn't emphasize that too much because that's what football is. The teams that win the Super Bowl, whether it's the quarterback, it could be the defensive tackle, you got the linebackers, the corners, they're all playing smart. They understand their job. And when they see somebody show them something, they attack, and you can't be waiting. You can't be hesitant because if you're hesitant and the difference between the guy that's going to the Hall of Fame and the guy that's going to eventually get cut, that might be half of a second. But that's the way the game is. It's so fast that you got to be able to read and you got to jump on things. If you're hesitant, like we've seen with Jalen at times, come on. You got a guy that was playing great football that all of a sudden he becomes a liability, and that's the way the game is, and we know that guys that have played the game know how much of a difference is, but you got to have that confidence inside, man, where when you see it, man, you got to be all over it. And I love the way, like you said, the linebackers, man, all over a play. They read it, man, they're all in the backfield, all over the play, man, because they did their homework, studying the team and their formations and everything. And then on Sundays, man, they're all on top of it. And that's being a pro. That means you're doing your homework, you're prepared. And I respect people like that because ultimately, that's what it's about. And you see that on the football level. But, I respect it when I see it in other people, where people are professional, they're prepared, they're doing their job. But you see that with this Eagles team, and you got to give those coaches, because a lot of guys have grown up in this year. Come on, Cooper DeJean. Now he see, and he's learning. And some, hey, he's realized this is the NFL, son. You got to put that ball away, man. And this is good. But these are the things that all of us, came through this kind of thing where you come out with a little blood in your mouth. Coach we had at USC always used to talk about that. When you come out, you got a little blood in your mouth. Okay, all right. Now this is what this game is about, son.
That's right. Oh, that was a big hit in football game.
That's right.
Until Sunday, man. Until you got a little blood in your mouth. Yeah.
You don't know what it is to play. You don't know what it is to play. You get a little blood in your mouth. Now you go, okay. Now I know these people are serious.
Gary, this is Super Bowl or bust, isn't it now? Because if they go 15-2, they get home field advantage. And I made this point to people. The next loss that the Eagles have will most likely end their season. And what I mean by that is they're probably going to run through the tape.
Probably,
and if they lose again, it'll probably be, if they do, it's either going to be a Super Bowl win or it's going to be a loss either in that game or in the playoffs, which will end your season.
That's right.
Do you believe they're the best team in the NFL, one? And secondly, do you believe that, again, this team right here, it's Super Bowl or bust?
Well, I think that that's where they've got their goals set. I mean, their goals are set up there, that they know that they're a team good enough to win this whole thing. And you're right in that right now, you look at the schedule, you look at this team, they feel like they're good enough to win this whole thing. They got to. If they didn't feel, it would be a joke if they did not feel as if they can win this whole thing, because they've outplayed just about everybody. If you look at the Lions now, I mean, the Lions are an outstanding team, but the injuries they've been hit with on their defensive side of the ball, and you can see the score. Come on, they're giving up 40 points a game.
And now Montgomery being out.
And now Montgomery out. I mean, that's tough. I mean, you really feel for a team because you don't want to see anybody sustain all those injuries, but it is what it is. The thing is laid out for the Eagles. They know. And see, that's why, some of the guys have said things, because they know they're good enough to win this thing. They're good enough to win it all. And if they don't, it's on them. They're very disappointed because they don't see anybody out there they feel like they should lose to if they play the way that they're capable of playing. And that's exciting. That's exciting to see this. But the big thing they got to do is they got to keep working, man. They got to push the envelope, and you got to have guys like that are going to step up. Somebody does something stupid, like Jalen Carter did. You got to have his teammates sit there and tell him, "Look, man, you sit down, man. You're going to be that selfish to where you would cost us everything." See, now that kind of stupid stuff could cost you the whole thing. Doing something stupid like that. And come on. Like I said, the thing that's so stupid about it, you don't even hurt the guy. The guy's got a helmet on, man. You know what I mean? You didn't even hurt the guy. The thing that's going to hurt is when you put that ring in his face. A year later, you see him somewhere, hey, dude, you got one of these? Put that ring in his face. And the thing is, you don't want to do something like that and hurt the guys. And really, everybody on that team is in that situation. Jalen Hurts has got to play the way he's capable of playing, because he's going to get times where he's going to need to step up and play his best football for this team to get where they want to get to. Same thing with AJ, Devontae, the offensive line, Saquon, the defense. They're good enough to win it, but, nobody gives it to you. And there are going to be some challenges where they get in situations where people got to step up when it's their opportunity. But it's very exciting. And they got to know that they're a team that's good enough to win the whole thing. But that's, right now, that's just talk. You got to go out and do it. But That's why this stuff is so much fun, man. And being around these guys, I got to admit, I haven't seen many teams grow as much as this team has grown during a season. I mean,
especially that defense, Gary.
Especially the defense.
Can't believe
yes
where that defense is right now.
Amazing.
From where it was prior to the bye.
Yes. The play yesterday where you had 53. What I'm talking about, the linebacker. Okay, where he recognizes he saw a guy go by him. Okay, he can tell that this is a play in which this is some kind of play where they basically they're looking for this guy. They're gonna throw it to him. For him to turn and run, he knew where the guy, and he chased the guy down. Almost made the play. The guy caught the ball and everything. But Baum, the way this guy has played, man, and this guy he wasn't even playing inside linebacker.
They brought him in to be an edge rusher.
To be an edge rusher.
To be behind Bryce Huff. And Gary, would you not agree with this? I brought this up earlier. Maybe the best thing ever happened to Nolan Smith was Bryce Huff getting hurt because he got the reps. And now we're seeing him get more volume of work. It's improving his game.
Yes, it is. Yeah, all these guys. I mean, and the steps he's taken. You're right, and he needed it because he was very disappointing in different times. But now he does a great job with his pass rush. He's been able to know how to generate power, to use a combination of speed around the corner and power. And a lot of times you realize, look, every time I can avoid, getting in a situation where it's my power against his power, I really would rather use my speed. So if I can get around the corner, dip, and use my speed, it's a lot better off than me trying to, bull rush these guys. No, the advantage I got is speed around the corner. That's the advantage I have. And I got to utilize that. And I got to make sure one of the big things he's doing a lot better, which is you cannot let these guys get under you. If you're not that big of a guy, you can't let the guy get under you. You got to make sure you're underneath him. So he's done a lot better job of that with his discipline and making sure his fundamentals are sound.
One last one here. Roster-wise, would you take the 2017 roster, the 22 roster, or the 24 roster? Which one do you think, in your opinion? Again, hindsight of the 17 team, we know because that team ended up running through the tape. 22 probably had a better roster than 17. Maybe. And now you're looking at 2024. If you had to pick one of those rosters between the three, who would you take?
Well, I mean, I would have no problem going with this one. But, of course, you got to have people playing up to their level. I mean, I look at the talent from offensively standpoint. They got more talent on offense. This is a more talented offensively. Of course, that means Jalen playing the way he's capable. See? That means him playing the way he's capable of playing and playing with the confidence he playing with yesterday. Playing with that confidence, man. 1, 2, 3, you got that ball out. You see it, you go ahead and play. And then defensively, I mean, they didn't have a secondary as good as this one here. The corners and the way these kids have played. But, of course, you got to do it in front of the bright lights.
Yeah,
you got to do it in front of the bright lights, and that's the fun of it. But, these kids are very young, though. They're very young. But they've shown so far, they've shown, hey, they have not stepped back from anybody, but that's going to be exciting. And then you look at the Lions, that defense against the Lions. Now the Lions, they're pretty tough, offensively especially.
Absolutely, so, Gary. I want to sneak one last one in on you. Yeah. If there's one difference, last year this time, November 18th, the week of the 18th to 16th, the Eagles were coming off a 3-game losing streak. They had been beaten by Seattle. There was a nuclear meltdown. It was in the midst of the 1-6 meltdown of 23. What's the difference between that and if you look at and why I said that this December 16th win or 15th win over the Steelers was so much better is because you're in championship months right now. You're in December. What's the one glaring difference, in your opinion, from last year that has been different? Is it just going through what happened a year ago that they've really learned from what happened and they're more mature of a team this year? What do you think has been the difference in just 1 year removed from that meltdown?
I think that has hardened some of these guys.
Huh?
You know, I really do think it's well, the guys on the line and come on, all these guys lived through that. And you know, a lot of these guys, you know, they expect to win. I mean, the year before they went to the Super Bowl. They have a good start, you know, and then they just fall into the pit. And you can see the guys that are all here, you know, you're talking about, you know, Lane Johnson and all those guys on that offensive line. They got a hardness to where they're not interested in that happening again. You know, they're not interested in that happening again. And if anything, you know, the guys on that offensive line went to the coach and told him, Coach, we can run the ball, Coach. We can run the ball. When they had their bye earlier in the season, and they told them, hey, we can run the ball down people's throat. And if you notice, they kind of changed a bit, and they started running the ball more. I think they believe that they're tough enough to where they're not going to let that happen. And I just think that there's a tougher group, and especially the guys that went through what happened last year. You can see a lot of them, they're not interested in letting that happen. And I think that's one of the good things about this team is that they're ready to fight, man.
Absolutely, Gary. I mean, they look, and they, as of December 16th, they're in a 3-horse race right now with Minnesota and Detroit.
And let me say this, like with AJ, that's why, you know, with the guys going, look, man, we know we got to get, like they were talking about, we got to get our passing game together. We need to sit down and get our passing game together. And so they took some steps yesterday in that, and they know they can get better. See, that's the thing is I think these guys are really looking in the mirror. They're not going to be pointing the finger at anybody. They know ultimately if they don't do it, it's their own fault. It's nobody else they can blame. So they got to get it done, man. They're good enough to win the thing, but they got to go out and do it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
This is Super Bowl or bust. Gary,
Super Bowl or bust.
Great stuff, man. I will catch you next week. Thank you so much, my friend.
All righty. Are you going to be at the Super Bowl?
You know what? We are working. Hey, by the way, did you buy your tickets yet? I told Eagle fans, have you bought your Super Bowl tickets yet?
Hey, I got credentials.
Yeah. Hey, are you? Hey, don't say them yet. Don't say them yet. Okay, keep them there. Hey, Gary, I'll catch you next week, brother.
All right, buddy. All right.
You got it. That is our friend Gary Cobb from Fox 29. Yeah. Did you get your Super Bowl tickets yet? You got them? You got your Super Bowl tickets? All right. All right, let's do this giveaway here with our friend Big Z, Zander, Krause here, man. I'll tell you what, I got to thank you guys today. It's been an iconic day. All the new members that have jumped aboard